Next slide, Haley. And at this time, we would also like to do our land acknowledgement. Humber College and the University of Guelph Humber are located within the traditional treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit, known as Adelbicok, the place of the alders, in Mississauga language. The region is uniquely situated along Humber River watershed, which historically provided an integral connection for Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples between the Ontario Lakeshore and the Lake Simcoe Georgian Bay regions. Now home to people of numerous nations, Adelbicok continues to provide a vital source of interconnection for all. We acknowledge and honor the land we are walking on, the moccasin tracks of our ancestors, and the footprints of the future generations to come. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Haley. I will put myself on mute and take my video off, and welcome Haley for the remainder of the presentation. And as a reminder for anyone just joining us, if you do have questions, feel free to add them to the chat as Haley goes along her presentation, or save your questions to the end, at which time you can take yourself off mute and engage directly with Haley. So welcome Haley, and thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. As Melissa said, I'm an outreach coordinator for the Onyx Initiative. So a lot of my main areas of focus are creating educational partnerships, community partnerships, and then scholar recruitment as well. So definitely excited to talk to you a little bit about Onyx today and interested to see your questions afterwards. So the Onyx Initiative, we were founded about a year ago in light of kind of the reignition of social justice movements and everything that had been going on last year. Our two founders, Wayne and Nigella Prabhu, decided that they wanted to do something here at home, and that's kind of how they came up with the idea of creating the Onyx Initiative. Nigella Prabhu, one of our founders, has an extensive educational background. Her main focus has been on cultural anthropology, human rights, as well as race relations. And then her husband, Wayne Prabhu, he's a serial entrepreneur within Canada. Most recently sold his company, Quick Play Media, to AT&T. So together they really have the combined resources, networks, and educational background to create the Onyx Initiative. So our problem statement is that there's a systemic gap in the recruiting and selection of Black university and college scholars and recent graduates for roles in corporate Canada. This is mainly due to lack of familial social networks, a lack of student awareness about different opportunities like this, and a lack of mentorship. So that's a lot of where we focus at Onyx. This here is some of the data that we found that helped us figure out where intervention point was going to be. So you can see that the more education one has, there's actually a wider wage gap between Black professionals and white professionals. And then in some of the different industries, you can see higher paying industries like management, sciences have a large wage gap. And also then the lower paying industries such as sales and trades not only have that wage gap, but also have a higher participation of Black individuals within those fields. So this really helped us figure out that our intervention point was going to be at the post-secondary level. So our program is open to anyone who self-identifies as Black and is enrolled in a Canadian college or university or is a recent graduate of one. So our main purpose is to expand the Black talent pipeline by fostering cohesive, mutually beneficial partnerships to close the systemic gap in the recruiting and selection of Black university and college scholars and recent grads for roles in corporate Canada. So when we were sitting down with who are now a lot of our corporate partners, as well as educational partners, what we're hearing from the corporate side is that they aren't really sure how to find Black talent. And a lot of this has to do with schools either not gathering race-based data or not providing it. So by creating the Onyx Initiative, we're a source for our corporate partners to know that they're getting diverse talent, and more specifically, they are getting Black talent. And it's also a way for our scholars to safely self-identify as Black when putting themselves forward for these roles. So our intervention point, again, is at that post-secondary level. We at Onyx kind of play a little bit of a balancing act or like a matchmaking service between our corporate partners and our scholars. We look to our corporate partners to understand what they're looking for in terms of employees, whether it be short-term placements, co-ops or internships, or those full-time entry-level employees. And then we also look at our pool of scholars to see where your interests lie so that we can go out and make sure we're getting the right types of corporate partners to provide those opportunities for our scholars. So our actual program, we're not only just like a job board, we're also an online training program as well as a mentorship program. So in terms of our online training, we do deliver it through LinkedIn Learning. There's online modules that you would go through. They're kind of refreshers, things like interview prep, resume and cover letter writing, etc. And then we have career coaches who are dedicated to assisting you in those areas. They'll also host workshops like social media manicuring, interview preparation, and things like that to kind of be there to guide you along through that learning development. And then also our mentorship program, which is a little bit separate. That's very industry specific. So if you're a student who is in finance, you get matched with a mentor who has a finance background, but who also either self-identifies as Black or has worked within the EDI spaces. So this is the online curriculum that I was speaking about that goes through LinkedIn Learning. There's kind of the three areas. You have your hard skills like Excel and PowerPoint, resume and cover letter writing, soft skills like financial literacy, networking, time management, and then the third and most important to the Black experience would be that anti-bias training and navigating conscious and unconscious bias in the workplace. So this is what a general year at Onyx looks like. You can see throughout the spring is when we onboard our scholars into the program. We do currently onboard annually, so keep an eye out for those dates. They'll likely be in early spring. So that's when our scholars get accepted into the program and they can begin to be matched with mentors. In May is the beginning of that standard internship cycle. Throughout the summer, we have employee discovery sessions as well as the scholar workshops I was talking about. And one of our biannual Onyx career fairs is in August. In September, our online curriculum goes live to coincide with the school year. It's also the beginning of that fall internship cycle. October through December is when scholars are working through that curriculum, applying to roles through our job board. As well, there's continuous employee discovery sessions and different workshops going on at that point. And then January through February, our corporate partners renew their subscriptions and let us know kind of what their new hiring needs will be. We also have our second biannual career fair in January, and it's the beginning of the winter internship cycle. So we do have job opportunities throughout every semester, every term. So we have the summer semesters and terms, fall term and winter term opportunities, and then as well those full-time entry-level positions for those who are graduating or who have graduated already. So we really wanted to make sure we're making an impact in all areas. For you as the scholars, we want to be preparing you for success and exposing you to new opportunities and networks that you don't already have access to. For our corporate partners, we're really focused on those who are invested in diversity and inclusion and are taking steps to do so outside of just working with Onyx. And then for the community, we want to be creating equity and generational change. So ideally, scholars who go through our program would eventually come back to become mentors. Now, this is our sustainable model. We're fully sustained by our corporate partners, so we don't rely on any government funding to run the program, and it allows us a little bit more leeway in the way we do things. So we take on international students as long as your visas permit you to work within the country, and our program is also completely free to all scholars. There's never going to be a cost to you whatsoever. And then as a nonprofit, any additional money that comes into our program, we do give back to the scholars in forms of bursaries and scholarships. So this is just a little bit more about the employer engagement with you as the scholars. So our corporate partners have year-round access to promote their initiatives to you, as well as host their information sessions where you can directly engage with hiring managers and different levels of employees, whether they're senior to brand new or even interns that are currently working for those companies. And this is a really great way to kind of put a face to the name and get your face out there in front of our corporate partners. And they also host a lot of sessions on how to properly go through their application process and what they're looking for in their interview processes. So that's just a little bit of an extra way to kind of get you ahead of the crowd. As well, they can promote through any of our social media platforms. We host different networking events that are exclusive to our scholars, and then as well our career fairs, which are exclusive to our scholars and biannually. And then they also have the ability to continuously update our job board. So that gets updated honestly daily, and the scholars have access to that throughout the entirety of your enrollment in our program. So those are always getting updated and there's always new opportunities. These are a few of our corporate partners that we have on board. You can see Bell, TD, Lululemon, TELUS, Manulife, PwC, Hyundai. CELAR is a coalition of innovation leaders against racism. It's about 35 tech and innovation companies, including Google Canada, as well as MLSE. So just to finish it off, really why you should apply right now. The program is completely free to all of our scholars. There's never a cost to you at all. You will get mentorship and coaching from top industry professionals, as well as those who self-identify as Black and can really assist you through your career journey and be able to give you that inside advice that you might not be able to find in other areas. You get access to paid work placements at top Canadian companies. So again, internships, co-ops, or short-term placements for every term, as well as those full-time entry-level positions. And we are eligible to all Black Canadian college and university scholars and those recent graduates. So our application link is just onyxinitiative.org/apply. I'll also write that in the chat, and I'll also put my email address in there. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask at any time. So that's kind of the end of my presentation. I went through it quite quickly, but if you have any questions, please feel free to either pop them in the chat or turn your mic on and let me know, and we can get started with some Q&A.
Thanks so much, Haley. Before we move on to Q&A, we just want to point out there is a Career Month feedback and draw. So if you can, sorry, Haley, if you don't mind just putting that back up on the screen. So there is a QR code, so hopefully that makes it helpful if you're able to scan that QR code, or you can go to the link below where you can fill out feedback on the session today and be entered for a draw. We do have some questions in the chat. Just give that another second for anyone who's still trying to maybe grab their phone and scan that QR code or enter in that URL. Okay. All right. So if you want to take it off the screen, I think that'll be fine. Maybe Melissa, you could add that URL to the chat. Excuse me. All right. So we do have a question from a student that Melissa added to the chat. How do I see potential? Actually, sorry, there was one previous to that. Do I need to have specific experience to qualify for the program?
Yeah, so there's no actual specific experience that you need. The reason that we created Onyx is because a lot of individuals who do self-identify as Black don't have that experience prior to either graduating or maybe even prior to their last year of university. So we don't have any requirements in terms of your experience. Really, you just need to be enrolled in a Canadian college or university or a recent graduate, and then we will work with you from there to get you that experience. That's really what our goal is.
Great, thank you. And this is another great question. How do I see potential employment opportunities? Is it like a job board? And I know from working with Onyx Initiative how you're fighting against systemic barriers with your employment opportunities in the job board. So maybe if you could describe that a little bit, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, so we have an internal platform that we use that all of our scholars get access to as soon as they're accepted into our program. So that has a bunch of different aspects to it, but it does also include that job board. So our job board, only our scholars, only Onyx scholars have access to it. There might be jobs on it that you'll see in other spaces, such as like your school career job boards, but we also have opportunities that are exclusive to Onyx. So it is really important to be able to apply through our job boards as well. When you apply through our links, it shows that you are an Onyx scholar, which does it puts you in almost a separate pile because our corporate partners are specifically looking to us to hire. So that's just one of the benefits of using our job board. But yeah, that's kind of what the platform looks like. You can categorize it by filter it by different categories, different industries, whatever you're interested in, but you'll have access to any of the jobs that are posted on there, no matter kind of what your background is or what you're looking for, but you're able to filter it kind of based on what you like. And then as well, if you do join those information sessions that our corporate partners host, they put a lot of the job information in those sessions, and will even give you kind of their direct hiring manager's contact information so that you can reach out to them directly if you have any questions or if you are looking to apply for those positions. So it's a really great way to kind of put yourself out there and put yourself in a separate pile that you know that these companies are looking for Black talent.
Thank you. Another question, can you share what the average experience is like for a student? What does this experience look like, and is there a time commitment? I think this is a really great question as well. If you can describe like what that mentorship experience is like from beginning to end kind of thing, and maybe how they get matched with a mentor, and
Yeah.
how that can develop and help their professional development?
Absolutely. So to start with just like the Onyx program in general, there is no time commitment. We intend to stick with our scholars for at least 3 years, but it really depends on where you are in your post-secondary journey. So our end goal with all of our scholars is to get you into those first full-time entry-level positions. Once you're beyond that, then there's other programs that would better suit you. But that's kind of where our end would be. The general year that I pulled up, that calendar, that's really what it looks like at Onyx. Everything is self-paced, so you do have to go through those LinkedIn learning pathways, but you can do that if you want to do it all in a month. You can do it all in a month. If you want to do it over the span of the entire year, you can also do it that way. It's really just self-paced. The jobs are open all year long. They get updated daily, so there's no timeline in terms of that. Um, and then for our mentorship, so we use a program called 10,000 Coffees, and that's an online matchmaking almost program for mentorships. So the mentors come on and make a profile, and then the scholars go on and make a profile, and that will automatically match you. At the moment, we do have matches every month. They go on, so there's a cycle of about 4 weeks that you'll be with one mentor. From there, you and your mentor can decide if you want to continue with the same mentor-mentee program and kind of figure out what your schedules look like going forward, or you can both opt to kind of hop into a new cycle and meet more mentors. So you have the option of meeting as many mentors really as you like in a year. And you can meet a bunch of different mentors from different industries, depending on what you're interested in, or you can stick with one mentor and kind of decide what that relationship looks like between you and the mentor, and you could have that person for a whole year. And ideally, your relationships will continue on for years to come, not just through our program. So that's kind of what it looks like. There's no real specific timeline. Again, we have opportunities for all terms. So whether you're in a co-op or internship program and you need a winter term or a spring term or a summer term, we have all of that, and we adjust our program to your schedules. So if you're looking for a winter term, we have opportunities for that, and then you can come back in the spring and decide to continue your LinkedIn learning pathway or do your career readiness or start your mentorship at that point. So really, we are there to kind of fit your schedule. So hopefully that answered the question a little bit better for you.
Thank you. Next question, what types of jobs are posted on your board? Do you have paid positions, internships, etc.?
Yeah, so it is a requirement of all of our corporate partners that every opportunity is paid. We don't offer any unpaid opportunities. That is another huge systemic barrier. So we just wanted to eliminate that from the beginning. So even for things that are called internships, co-ops, placements, they're all paid. The rate of pay, that is up to the corporate partners, of course. But they're pretty competitive. We focus on corporate Canada. So you can see on our website, most of our corporate partners are large national organizations. So they have placement opportunities all across Canada. And again, have those really competitive wages and opportunities. So that's kind of what we post on there. If you're looking to get into like healthcare, we wouldn't have anything on the clinical side, but we would have things on like the HR side. And that would be the same if you're like in social work or anything like that. So just make sure to remember that we do focus on corporate. And you can see all of our partners on our website, which is onyxinitiative.org/partners. We are currently looking in to figure out ways that we can get in more corporate partners who are a little bit smaller, who maybe are nonprofits or who are like government. So that's definitely kind of next up on our radar. So you can always keep an eye out on our page as well for that information. But I definitely still encourage you to apply if you're interested at all in any type of corporate position.
Great, thank you. We have a question from Derail, and Derail, you are welcome to take yourself off mute or come on camera if you would like to. Her question, or sorry, their question is, if we have applied before for the program and missed the deadline for the last cohort, do they have to reapply?
So no, you don't have to reapply. We keep all of the applications in our files and we kind of carry them over. So if you had missed the last deadline, you're still in consideration for now this new deadline. What I can do, Darrell, if you specifically are in that situation, I'll pass along your name to our student success team who handles all of the application processes and just ensure that they keep you kind of top of mind that you are still interested in the program. But yeah, anyone who either has missed a deadline or even doesn't get accepted into previous cohorts, your application will still be carried over to new cohorts because you never know what we have opportunity-wise going forward. I know a lot of people maybe didn't get accepted into the last cohort, and for us, it was just because the types of corporate partners we had at the time didn't necessarily match what you were looking for. But now if we go out and get new corporate partners, we'll reopen those applications to see if you're still a good fit. So I'll definitely make sure I pass along your name to our student success team, but you're definitely still in the running. There's no, we don't ever delete any applications.
Thank you. That's great. Next question is from Dabria. What is the mentor and job process like, and when can I apply for mentorships and jobs?
Yeah, so right after, once you get accepted into the program, there is a bit of an orientation. So there's a couple weeks there just to kind of do housekeeping and making sure all your profiles are set up, going through kind of those opening workshops. Once that's complete, you have free access to the job boards as well as the mentorship program. And from there, it's really at your discretion, self-paced, how many times you want to apply for jobs or check the job postings, and as well how many times you want to apply to be in the mentorship cycles. So that's kind of how it works. I'd say there's just a couple weeks after the application gets accepted to do the onboarding process. And then from there, you'll have access to that for as long as you're in our program.
Thank you. And you may have covered this, so my apologies if I'm asking you to repeat yourself. But what is the next cohort deadline to apply?
At the moment, we're looking at a March 1st deadline. But once that is confirmed and updated, we will have that everywhere. I'll send that to you, Melissa, and we'll have it also all over our social media and our website and all that kind of stuff. But we usually onboard annually in the early spring.
Adane asks, are there opportunities to meet other Onyx students within the program?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that we are figuring out how to do better. Just because we're completely virtual and we are across Canada, it is a little bit hard to do kind of meetups, but we have done virtual scholar meetups in the past, different game nights, scholar nights, things like that, where you can come on to a Zoom-like setting and interact with the other scholars. We also really encourage all of our scholars to follow each other on LinkedIn and kind of on our internal application as well. You have access to kind of reach out to other scholars and have their information. So we really encourage the scholars to kind of create their community because that's a really big part of what we want Onyx to be, is a community between the scholars, because a lot of people don't have that. So we're definitely looking into ways to continue having those virtual meetups, seeing if there is a possibility to maybe start doing in-person meetups depending on kind of the timeline of COVID and restrictions and all that kind of stuff, and depending on where we are in the different provinces. But so definitely keep an eye out for that, but we'll keep you updated on kind of newer ways that we can better create a community between our scholars.
Thank you. I can see Melissa is typing, so she might have another student question. But in the meantime, please, if any students want to come on screen or take yourself off mute and engage and chat a little bit with Haley directly, you are always welcome to do so. Or if you have any other questions, you again can add them to the chat, and I'm happy to read them out on your behalf. Yep, Melissa did add another question. So how do I contact you after this presentation?
Perfect. I will put my email address in the chat. It's haley@onyxinitiative.org. So feel free to reach out to me at any time. We also are on all socials, just at Onyx Initiative. So if you're ever on Instagram or Twitter and just want to send us a DM, we can also answer it that way. And then as well, our info@onyxinitiative.org. That's just our general contact email. That's also on our website. So you can always reach out through that way as well.
Thank you. And we do have another question from Dabria. I asked you about the deadline for applications, but when do applications open? And do you have to be in a specific year, semester, or program in order to apply?
For sure. So our applications are actually always open. They never close. You can find the link on our website, which I'll also put in the chat, It's just onyxinitiative.org/apply. So yeah, at any time in the year, you can always apply to that. It's not too long of an application process. It's a few biographical questions. We're looking for kind of why you're interested in the program, what you're looking to get out of it, etc. And then there is a personality assessment that will go out afterwards. But that's pretty much it. There's never a closed, it never closes. So just always keep an eye out for that deadline though. And then no, you don't have to be in a specific year or semester or program to apply. We don't have any restrictions or requirements in terms of your field of study or what year you're in. We just simply ask that you self-identify as Black and are enrolled in a Canadian college or university or a recent graduate of one in order to apply. So we also, if you are in a program that maybe doesn't necessarily usually lead into corporate, just in your application process, kind of explain what you're looking to get out of the program, maybe what fields you're interested in going into, and like kind of why you think that your program would still be like a good segue into corporate Canada. So just make sure you put that in your application, but we don't have any requirements and we don't deny anyone based on your field of study or kind of what year you're in.
Great, thank you. So do we have any other questions, or do we have anyone that wants to come on video or audio? Melissa's typing, so I'll wait for Melissa. And just while I wait here, I'll let all the students know who are on the call. My partnership, or the partnership between University of Guelph Humber and Onyx Initiative specifically, launched because of our corporate partners at PwC. So I can attest to the fact that they're working very closely with corporate Canada, and over just a year of partnership, I have seen a lot more corporate partners come on board with Onyx. So it's always growing. I've attended one or two webinars like this with Haley already, and we've also invited Nigella to come and do a leadership chat at our International Women's Day event last March. So it's always great to hear from Onyx Initiative, and I'm so appreciative of the partnership and really supportive of making information available to students for this opportunity. Melissa added, great questions, everyone. We hope you apply and take advantage of this amazing program. And I would agree with that, of course. So if there are no other questions, I guess we've given everybody approximately 20 minutes back in their day. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Haley, for your time and your information. Thank you to the students for your attention and your wonderful questions. And as a reminder to please fill out the survey, let us know how we're doing. And also as a reminder that there is that prize for an annual membership to Masterclass, and Ignite will be contacting winners directly.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. This was fantastic. And if any students are interested in finding out more information or have any questions later on, please don't hesitate to contact me. And as well, I hope you all apply. So thank you again for having me this morning.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.